All right. Other phases in life. Let's go down to people who are don't consider themselves older. They don't consider they're not retired, but maybe their kids are grown. At this point, their estate plan will probably look a little bit different than somebody who is older. They might have a will that has in it not a mandatory trust, but a contingent trust. What I mean by that is that their will might say, on my death, everything goes to my spouse outright and with no protections. But at ELG Estate Planning, we will include in the will that same kind of trust I was just describing for an older couple, but it will only come into being if, on the death of the first spouse, the surviving spouse needs asset protection. So if they're both healthy and their will says outright on the death of the first, and the first spouse dies and the surviving spouse is healthy, then it could be a very simple administrative process when the first dies, not even requiring a probate. It could be just what we call a lack of probate affidavit. Very, very simple. And then the surviving spouse has all the assets and they can do whatever they want with them. And it's, there's no protections, but the couple didn't want any protections. But let's say that the situation is that this couple I was just talking about, the first one dies because they were both in a car accident. The surviving spouse is not healthy. That person has been rendered incapable of working. They're going to need care, etc. That contingent trust that is in the will now can come into play because the person needs it. This is the decision that's made at the time of death, so that those asset protection provisions, the trust, can be put into place, even though it's a contingent trust. The decision is made by the personal representative at the time of the death of the first spouse, but the surviving spouse needs it. So they can also benefit from asset protection, even though their plan was, hey, it's going to be a simple administration, no probate on the death of the first of us, because we don't think anybody will need asset protection. We'll still build in protection such that if that car accident happens and that surviving spouse needs that trust can come into play and will protect assets.